I'll be speaking in English with a special accent, a synthetic computer-generated accent, because of Jayson here. So, we've heard quite a lot about technology, and I have to say that I feel somewhat weird here, because when I mourned the death of Osama bin Laden, I felt that I lost somebody who was very close to me, in the sense that he lived in a house with no internet, no telephone, no television, only going to the mosque once every few weeks. This is not exactly my lifestyle, but I must admit that I feel, being a computer science graduate, as many of the people here on board, I feel kind of haunted by technology. I am a charlatan on Laila Kalkali, and we have tens of thousands of people who like us on Facebook, which is something that I completely do not understand. Jayson just mentioned here that, actually it was mentioned by Margalit before, that we are becoming like gods, but I believe that we're becoming very shallow gods, in the sense that our interaction is more or less like-dislike. If I think about the spectrum of attention, on one extreme, you would see the Zen Buddhism concept of attention, where you focus on something, and then in one stroke, you draw a character or you break bricks. If you think on the other extreme about blur, where you are all the time involved with answering things on your iPhone, on your internet, etc., I think we're more on the blur side of things. So I'm kind of concerned with the fact that if I think about my kids, they are not just my kids, but IQ scores go up all the time, and I think that social depth is becoming shallower all the time. Okay. So if I think about the cosmic constant of number of real friends that a person has, which is between E and pi, okay, so I would think that each one of us has between E and pi real friends, but on Facebook we have thousands of friends. Then the question is, how do we see this technology influencing the family? If you think about the fantastic technology that we've seen today, what will they do to sex? Do we actually need a real partner when we can have fabulous sex with virtual entities over the internet? What will we see about workplaces? Because I learned a lot of technology from IBM, from Microsoft, from Google, but many of the inventions today are just from some weird person inventing Facebook or Flickr or what have you. And finally, what will the impact be on politics? So I would like just to hear each one of the panelists respond to their vision of us as flesh and blood, as doomed carbons, as we were described before, and then we would accept questions from the public. So shall we start with Jayson? Okay.
Okay, so so I think you asked very important questions. You know, what's the impact of all this new ways of consuming information, being in touch with friends? What is a friend today, right? Yeah. So between E and pi, this is maybe your definition of a friend. Yeah. I guess my daughter, it's more between two order of magnitudes, above that. So that really depends, and also it depends also who you are. If you're a teenager or someone from our generation, I guess it's very different. So I guess one of the issues here is really to make technology good technology in such a sense that it will not just force you into the shallow relationships or consume information which is not important. Like you have a lot of spam all the time. And we could. So I think this is a very big challenge to us. So I believe that technology will change lives, and we're already seeing that today. But it's up to us to make it to build it in such a way so that it doesn't force us into this shallow, not high quality type of life. We think, okay, we're losing so much, right? Or I had quality time with my kids, now not anymore because everyone is they're working on their computer. I'm sure you will find people who will prefer to have sex, with a computer. You always have, extremes. But I don't want that to become the standard, right? I don't want that to become, to replace humans. So I think it's really, up to us to build technology that will just not, put us in those situations. So I think a few things that were mentioned today, I think Eran mentioned that, we need to respect the user attention. So, you know, so when the technology is actually here to serve a user or a human, it's not, you know, to control everything, but it's actually to understand, you know, when it should actually be active and when it shouldn't be active. So that's just one example that just, you know, crossed my mind. But definitely, it's a huge challenge. Definitely, the thing that you say, well, you know, we don't want to be there. Or I don't want the whole humanity to be there. And you know, I take it as a challenge for us.
I like.
So my daughter shares the same classroom as David's daughter here. So we're from the same small town. And I think I'm trying to recall when I was a little child, you became unpopular when you were not watching the same movies or TV shows. You became unpopular when you were not playing at the same games at school or after school. Nowadays, you're not popular if you don't have a Facebook account. I give lectures at schools, etc., and I always ask, who has a Facebook account? I used to ask that. Now it's a question that you never ask. The only person who lifted her hand is usually the teacher. And I want to point to the gap of generations. I mean, I'm sure that your parents, I don't know you or your parents, but I'm sure that your parents felt that when you grew up, you were losing attention to what they deem important. You were thinking about the world in a way that is different or foreign to them. And the way technology accelerates our changing behavior is highly manifested in a way that parents view their kids and find it harder and harder to accept the social change of how people interact with each other, with the machines, with the rest of the society. So I don't think we've crossed the barrier of we serve the technology. The technology still serves us. We can always, no one does that today, shut off the internet, turn off the mobile phone, turn off TV, God forbid, and we choose not to do that. It's not a question of we become slaves to technology. It's fulfilling a real deep psychological need in a way that somehow harnesses all of us into some fabric we call humanity today. And it's strange, it takes time to adapt. Kids do that better and faster. And I'm sure that my grandchildren would be a total mystery to me.
Can I respond to that?
Sure.
I disagree with you profoundly. I do think that we are becoming slaves to technology. I have some alcohol here with me, and I would like to use it also to drink it, but also as a metaphor. If you can you help me open it?
That's the kind of metaphor I like.
Well, the reason I brought this alcohol is that if you watch Mad Men and you see that the normal office has a very rich bar with whiskey in it, if you would like to, yeah, sure, and then you can sex abuse me after. But I would like to use this as a metaphor because when I think about people drinking all the time on Madison Avenue, I think it shows several things. First of all, we see how it changed the lifestyle of people. I also think that many people working long hours had to drink just to survive the pain of being in an office with people bothering them all the time. And I think that many people today have become so shallow that they do not even need the alcohol. I think many people don't even do cocaine or anything of the sort. So I do think that we are enslaved to the technology. I myself, I cannot escape checking my email, checking my SMSs, what is called today infomania, like nymphomania, only checking information all the time. So I do not think that we're in control.
Do you want me to respond to that, or you want? Okay.
Like always, technology has its. No, it's not my expertise. Right. Specifically not Arak. Anyway, technology, like always, has its negative and its positive sides, and this is true for any kind of technology. Even today, I noticed that in a sense we are what I would term as so remote and yet so close. So my daughter, for example, has friends in China, good friends that she never met before. On one hand, and definitely if one of her friends or she herself goes and visits China, they can keep very close relations, even though she is on a trip to China. So this is in a sense being so remote and yet so close. On the other hand, here